heartbeat. And when you're gone, I feel incomplete. So if you want the truth, I just wanna be part of your symphony. We hold me tight and never let go. Symphony, like a love song on the radio. We hold me tight and not let go. I'm sorry if it's all too much, but every day you're here I'm healing. And I was running out of luck. I never thought I'd find this feeling, 'cause I've been hearing symphonies before all I heard was silence. A rhapsody for you and me. Every melody is timeless. And now your song is on repeat, and I'm dancing on to your heartbeat. And when you're gone, I feel incomplete. So if you want the truth, I just wanna be part of your symphony. We hold me tight and not let go. Symphony, like a love song on the radio. We hold me tight and not let go. And now your song is on repeat, and I'm dancing on to your heartbeat. And when you're gone, I feel incomplete. So if you want the truth, I just wanna be part of your symphony. We hold me tight and not let go. Symphony, like a love song on the radio. Symphony, we hold me tight and not let go. Symphony, like a love song on the radio. We hold me tight and not let go.
Welcome to another fabulous live stream brought to you by the Imperial Court of Toronto. I am Regent Empress Terrain 34, Nikki Chin. First, a big thanks to you for joining us. Don't forget to ask us questions, say hi, and compliment us. I start off every show giving thanks to our frontline workers all over the world. So on behalf of the Imperial Court of Toronto, all of its members and affiliates, thank you, frontliners. You have been working long, stressful, and tiresome hours. Thank you for continuing your work in keeping us safe and healthy. To all of the other essential workers, such as grocery store clerks, cooks, refuse collectors, custodial staff, teachers, and first responders, thank you for being there for us. On that note, the Imperial Court of Toronto would like to remind you to stay safe, social distance, wash your hands, carry hand sanitizer, wipes, or spray, and wear a mask. Protect yourself in order to protect others. We are all in this together. Let's flatten the curve, get vaccinated, and stop COVID. Enjoy the show! This song is on repeat.
Welcome everybody to the Imperial Court of Toronto's campaign opening show for the Monarchs to reign to the 35th reign. As we gather here traditionally today, TICOT would like to take this time to acknowledge that we are situated across many parts of Turtle Island on many treaty lands and various First Nations and Inuit land across this area that we live on. We'd like to thank the various First Nations for allowing us to work, live, and do the service we do on this land. TICOT is located on the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, the Mohawk, the Oneida, and many other nations, and is now called home to many other diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Acknowledging people who have been living and working in this land for past immemorial. This recognition includes their presence in the past, present, and future. Reconciliation and respect are essential elements to establishing healthy reciprocal relationships, are key to reconciliation. We acknowledge the spirits of our ancestors who are stewards of this land, and we are thankful for the gifts that we have received. We recognize the importance of caring for Mother Earth, just as we care for ourselves. We acknowledge the impact colonialism has on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being of many Indigenous people through many generations. We're grateful to have the opportunity to gather and work on such precious land, and as such, we will help to be protectors of Mother Earth and stand with Turtle Island's inhabitants. Just to let you know, due to COVID-19 pandemic, we are not able to hold our elections as we usually do. We have decided to hold an electronic voting for TICOT members and sometime for in-person voting for our community members. For TICOT individual members in good standing this year, you will be receiving an email for voting electronic using a secure online virtual voting program to cast your vote. TICOT members voting will begin on Thursday, September 16th of this year at 9 p.m. or 2100 hours and run until Saturday, September 18th at 9 in the morning. You will receive an email with your unique user and password code to access your secure online ballot. This will be sent to the email address we have on record. You will receive this email on Thursday, September 16th at 9 p.m. around 9 p.m. If you do not see this email in your inbox, please check to make sure that it did not go to your spam folder. It may take a little while for the system to send out to everyone. For our community members living in the TICOT realm, on Saturday, September 18th, between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., we'll be holding an in-person polling station set up at Second Cup on Church Street. Voting in person, you will be required to bring 2 pieces of identification, one with a photo ID and one with your address. You will need to fill out a voter registration card and show the people working the poll your information before you receive your ballot. As I mentioned earlier, this is our opening campaign for the monarchs to the 35th reign. It takes great pleasure to introduce the candidate for Emperor to the 35th reign, David Valdroit, and candidate for Empress to the 35th reign, Rochelle Valdroit. So there's David, and I believe, David, you're going to go first, and there's Rochelle, and at this time, I now hand over the wonderful night to these wonderful people. They're going to do an awesome job. As our Empress has mentioned, please, if you wish to donate, it's scrolling along the bottom of your screen. You can either send in money transfer to TICOT.ca or go online if you're in another country and send it on our website. Let's do that. But I'm sure our 2 candidates will be talking about this more. And that. So again, at this time, I'd like to congratulate these 2 people for stepping up, being our candidates for Emperor and Empress. I wish them the best of luck. Please come out, support the hard work that these 2 people and the Imperial Court of Toronto does over the year and over the 34, now 35 years that we're going to be heading into. And now off to these 2 wonderful people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Just want to confirm you can hear me. I'm unmuted and everything, which is good. So thank you very much, Kevin, for those words of introduction. As Kevin mentioned, I will be kicking off the first part of this evening, talking about my aspects of the campaign. And then I will hand over to the candidate for Empress, Rochelle, to take over the second part of the evening. So if you want, we can kick off and just get going. So thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the kickoff for the campaign for Emperor and Empress of the 35th reign of the Imperial Court of Toronto. It's interesting to be part of an organization like this, an organization that has done so much for the community over the last, since 1986 when the organization was founded. And certainly, I think it is for me a great privilege and an honor to even be considered as a candidate for emperor. Certainly, it's an interesting year in which we are doing these campaigns. It's an interesting winter that we're going into. Hopefully, there will be more opportunity for in-person events, and hopefully, as we get into the new year, we'll certainly start seeing the tail end of the pandemic. But as we sort of kick off tonight, it is virtual, and it's certainly something that we miss in terms of being able to interact directly with people in person. I thought I'd start a little bit tonight, just talk a little bit about myself, who I am, and why I'm part of the court system, and frankly why I'm running for emperor this year. The reason why I joined the court system, or actually when I joined the court system in 2017, this was during the reign, the 30th reign of Emperor 30, Jason the Just, and Empress 30, Nikki Chin. It was an interesting experience for us, and certainly for me. I was looking for a way of giving back to the community. I have reached a point in my life and my career where I really wanted to find a way of leaving a legacy. And the only way to really do that without having children is to sort of find ways in which to contribute back to the community, and specifically the LGBTQ community in Toronto. We were introduced to the court through a friend, a mutual friend, and we sort of decided on a whim to attend one of the court events. It was Investiture 1 of Reign 30 in 2017. I looked at it as an opportunity to meet new people. I looked at it as an opportunity to wear some of my uniforms, and I'll show you some of my uniforms a little later. I'm a uniform collector, and I'm always looking for opportunities to wear the uniforms that I've collected. So I thought of TICOT as a great opportunity to do that. I didn't quite expect to meet as many wonderful people as we did, and to get so fall in love essentially with the organization, not just here in Toronto, but also the Diamond Court system and the many friends that we've made throughout not just the Canadian courts but the American courts. And you'll see some of them tonight as they appear through either direct performance or video. So it's been an interesting few years. People have always asked me, interestingly enough, from very soon after joining, are you ever going to run as emperor? And when are you going to run as emperor? And my standard message to that was always going to be 35. I'll wait until 35. And that was not because 35 was necessarily an important year, or I was actually seriously thinking of doing it at 35. But it was 5 years in the future, and I think enough time for me to get to know the organization, to understand the organization, to get to know the people, and frankly figure out if this is something that I really wanted to commit a year of my life as a reigning emperor to. And in the intervening years, reign 31, 32, and 33, I took on the role as treasurer of the organization. I felt it was important to be part of the executive to see how the organization operates, to help provide insight and help in terms of how the strategy of the organization evolves, and actually to really understand sort of the mechanics of what the organization is before I really committed to an organization, as an emperor. And then when we got to reign 34, obviously 33 and 34, with the pandemic, things took a little bit of a backseat. I was certainly very much looking forward to traveling the circuit of courts in reign 33 when I was named ICP to Empress Becca Blake of the 33rd reign. And unfortunately, we all had to stay home. But I still got to meet a lot of people through the virtual online events that kicked off through the course of Reign 33 and still happening through 34. Not just the events that I watched, but also the events that I participated, and got to meet people from other states, in the US, and courts that I would not necessarily have met unless we had in fact traveled, which we had to then do virtually. Anyway, so that's sort of my little bit of my history with the court. I've been in it for about 5 years now. It is Reign 35 coming up. I really thought about whether this is the year that I want to step up as candidate for emperor. And after some careful thought, I said, this is it. I have a really good feeling about the organization. I love the organization. I love the people. But I also see a great future for the organization as we come out of the pandemic. For me, the theme of Reign 35 will be sort of recovering our strength. And it's sort of a play on recovering from the pandemic, sort of coming out of the pandemic, but also really sort of recovering the strength of the organization. We peaked at a fairly large number of members in Reign 31 and 32. That dropped off quite a bit through 33 and 34 because of the pandemic. And I think we need to reach out to and reconnect with our community, our members, and sort of recover and regain our strength as an organization as we come out of the pandemic and as we sort of go through, Reign 35. So my focus is really going to be around reconnecting with the community, reconnecting with our membership. And while I believe that the work we are doing for charity and the raising of the money that we do for charity is incredibly important work, and we certainly want to focus on that and continue that, we are also a social organization. And frankly, we're a social organization first. And therefore, bringing back the aspects of social connection to our membership and our community, for me, is going to be critically important and a key focus area for me through this reign. I wanted to sort of step into just a little bit of a fun photo montage. As I participated at various coronations and the various events that we held, I have worn a number of uniforms from my collection, and people usually come up to me and ask me about the uniforms. And I thought it would be interesting just to put a little bit of collage together of some of the uniforms I've worn, and just to give a little bit of context behind them. So as our producer will bring up those videos, I'll talk about it. An interesting comment just to make about this, I have to usually be very careful about which uniforms I wear. I cannot wear any current issue uniforms. I cannot wear any current issue medals or anything that would be considered impersonation of an officer. And certainly cannot do anything that would disrespect the integrity of the uniforms that I do wear. They are all original, they're all real, and therefore I have to be very careful what I do with them. You will, for example, never find me wearing a current issue or a Canadian uniform within Canada or a US uniform within the United States. And certainly I have to be very careful that I don't come across as impersonating. It's really, at the end of the day, a costume. This particular uniform, as you can see from this video, no, from this photo, there's Empress, current Regent Empress Nikki, as well as Emperor 30 Jason, and Emperor 32 Randy, the Randy Emperor, as well as Miss Trillium, Cereza. This uniform I wore to the, I believe this was the Waterfall Empire coronation. Might have been London. I actually don't recognize the background there. This is a American turn of the century naval uniform of a fleet admiral. And I particularly like this one because the big gold shoulder epaulets. As you'll see from a number of the uniforms, I like a lot of gold and glitter. I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I make up for it in gold and glitter. Next picture, please. This is an interesting uniform. This is a Russian, current Russian general of the Navy uniform. And what I thought I wanted to share, this particular one, there's a bit of a story here. So a wonderful Nicole the Good this was at our coronation a number of years back. I think it was coronation 33, I would assume. And I was wearing the Russian uniform, as I'm sure you all know, that she uses the Russian, the double-headed eagle as her symbol. So I thought this was an interesting picture to share. And I sort of like the contrast of the red and the gold. But it was an interesting story here. I was treasurer at the time. I was working handing out the tickets at the hospitality. And as I was doing that, I was drinking water. Nicole came up to get her ticket. As I was drinking water, I lifted the can and I was sort of rubbing my nose like this. And she thought I was giving her the finger. So my first introduction to Nicole was to give her the virtual finger. So certainly we laughed about that, and I think it was sort of a funny event of the evening. We later, that's why you probably see that little bit of a quirky smile on my face. We kept on joking about that as the evening went on. Next picture, please. We'll go a little bit faster. This is the same uniform, just from the other direction. So let's go to the next one. This is a Russian field marshal's uniform, marshal of the Russian Federation of the Soviet era. So this goes back to the late 70s, early 80s. You'll see I have two uniforms that are from that period. The one uniform, I don't think I have pictures of it here, but the one uniform, you'll see the medals at a 45 degree along the breast. That's the earlier late 60s, early 70s, how they wore the medals. And then later on, they started wearing the medals in the horizontal lines. The one thing you'll find about Russian uniforms is they have a lot of medals and they sort of stack them rows after rows after rows. So they clink quite a bit as you walk around. It sounds almost like you're wearing some armor. Next picture, please. This was an interesting uniform. I had found a company in the UK that makes reproduction uniforms. This is a reproduction uniform of a hussar, a French hussar, the Prince of St. Kilberg. The original uniform is in the museum in Paris. It is a hussar's uniform of this particular prince was the adjutant to Napoleon for a period of time before he was killed in battle. So very elaborate in terms of the detailing, in terms of the beadwork and the trim work that's done on it. And I particularly like this one because of the color combinations and certainly the ability to wear a wig. I don't very often get to wear a wig, so this was one where I'm happy to wear a wig. The problem with this particular uniform, as with many of them, is they're incredibly hot. Multiple layers, all made out of wool with very stiff collars, so you can barely move once you have one of these, and I'm wearing one of these. Next picture, please. This is seems like there's two of the same. This was the picture, the uniform I showed at the beginning, the American turn of the century naval admiral's uniform with the large epaulets. You can skip to the next one. You skip on. This is an interesting one as well. I wore this one to the very first coronation we attended, which was coronation 31 in Toronto. I also wore this uniform. This was the uniform I wore to the investiture, the first investiture we attended that year. Certainly it's one of the most elaborate ones I have. This particular uniform is a reproduction of a French marshal's, a Napoleonic French marshal's uniform. It is the full dress uniform, so it has the detailing, the bullion work or the gold work on all the seams, down the arms, down the back, etc. So very elaborate in terms of the bullion work on it. Very heavy as a result. Quite warm to wear as well. And the biggest problem with this particular uniform is you cannot bend your arms. So I have difficulty drinking or holding a drink when I have this uniform on. I have to have a straw to drink through in order to actually wear this uniform. But it's one of my favorite ones, and one that I wear to coronations quite frequently. Next one, please. This is another one of the uniforms I've worn to coronation. This one was also worn to coronation 31. This is a Austrian field marshal's uniform. It is a reproduction of the uniform of Emperor Francis I of Austria. The original uniform is in the museum in Vienna. I used this uniform in a reproduction or a reenactment event in Paris a number of years ago, where I walked in a parade as the Emperor of Austria in a Napoleonic celebration parade as the Emperor of Austria. I very much love this uniform. I love the colors of it. And unlike the other ones I showed you, it's actually a very comfortable uniform because it's got an open collar and no stuff on the arms. So you can actually bend your arms and you have a lot more flexibility and movement in this particular uniform. I particularly like the cream and the red colors in it. Next one. And this, I believe, is the last picture. This is a uniform I wore to London coronation. It is a not current issue, but still being used Irish Guard colonel's uniform. The medals and the orders I'm wearing on it are current issue orders, but I purposely wore them in a pattern that is not official, not regulation, and I purposely wore the blue sash the wrong side. Usually the sash goes from the left shoulder to the right side. I wore it the other way around to make sure that I'm not coming across as an impersonation of an officer, because these are orders that are currently active in Canada as well. I really like this uniform as well. It's got my favorite colors, red and black and gold. So that's this one. I think that was it, correct? I suspect that's the last one. So if that's the last one, let's move on to our guest. So thank you very much for indulging me for a few minutes where I talked about my uniforms. I don't get to do that very often, and I certainly look forward to whether I'm emperor or not, continuing to travel the court system and find opportunities to participate as the girls have their jewelry. The boys have their uniforms, so I'm certainly enjoying that aspect of it. Okay, so I want to bring in my first guest. The guest I'm going to bring in is our current president of TICOT, also Emperor 30, Jason the Just of the Imperial Court of Toronto. And I want to bring Jason in because he was the emperor at the time when we joined. And I really wanted to, well, firstly say, welcome to the evening, Jason. And secondly, just wanted to say, thank you for, welcoming us into the court system. When we attended your first investiture back in 2017, we actually, I believe, sat at your table. And we were certainly welcomed in the organization. If it wasn't for that evening and for your friendliness and bringing us into the organization, we probably wouldn't have been here. So thank you for that. And then really just wanted to sort of throw over to you a couple of questions around, as a candidate for emperor, as a potential future emperor, what advice would you give to me, and frankly, not just me, but also others that might be considering it?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here because we all know I love to talk about TICOT. Thank you so much for taking on the potential responsibility of being a figurehead for our community. We do truly value it. It is something that I think we are really going to need, especially after so much isolation and so much being apart. So I'm so happy that we have candidates this year and that you and Rochelle have finally taken the plunge, so to speak. My best advice, we'll start maybe with the campaign trail. Definitely you want to engage with everybody. That was a big thing for us. Billy Blake is a prime example. One night we were at Pegasus doing our campaign shows, and we had some giveaways. Obviously, we can't do giveaways in our current state, but I had these pink dice, and I walked up to her, and we just began a conversation, and I handed her the pink dice, and that kind of sparked some interest, and then Billy started showing up to some events, and then we kind of swooped him in and he became an Imperial Crown Prince, which was so exciting. So definitely what I would say is be open and be friendly and really engage people within the community, because they are here to support us as, we do support the community.
Interesting. I should get myself some pink dice and start walking around it. It's the first time I've heard that particular story. So today, given where we are with the pandemic, obviously our ability to campaign in person is going to be constrained. But yes, I absolutely agree with you. It's really about engaging, not just trying to get votes, but actually ultimately getting engagement from the organization. When you sort of look back at your reign, and I know you've been with the court for many years, and you've been president for a number of years as well. But if you think particularly back to your reign as emperor, for you, what was the I'm hesitant to ask the question in terms of what was the low light of the reign, but what was the highlight of the reign from as an emperor? Like, what was the thing that sort of really stood out for you for that in that year?
For me, the highlight probably would have been just being able to raise money and give that back to the community. So for me, it was like the actual check presenting was like such a big moment, because it was like, there's all your hard work paying off and it's going to go to the community that needs it. So for me, it was really about that. It really was about the work and the social aspect that came with it, because you're out having fun with your friends, so it's like no big deal. Raising money is just kind of the after effect of you being out and engaging with other people.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I found, so having been treasurer of the organization, I was actually counting the money for the last number of years and writing the checks. It's if I think just in terms of my time with the court, the moment that really stands out for me was the year we presented the check. I think it was $20,000 to Rainbow Railroad. And they came to present to us, they came to actually get the check, but they also talked to us about what Rainbow Railroad was all about. And the fact that $10,000 is what saves somebody's life by bringing them from another country to Canada, and just that moment of realizing that you've actually been able to help somebody directly affect lives was such a powerful moment for me. So I suppose I totally agree with you, having been and certainly seen that. In terms of I know you and your Empress Nikki, our current Regent Empress, had a great relationship, great working relationship as you went through that year. What advice do you have for the Emperor-Empress pair in terms of how they work together as they get through the year?
I think Nikki and I worked so well because we really listened to each other. We were just open and honest, good, bad, ugly. We just said it like it was and kind of moved past it. And we kind of kept being Emperor and Empress kind of like a work agreement, so that our friendship was always protected. I thought that was very important for us, because we didn't want to let anything come between us as friends. So trying to keep that kind of like the business aspect really, I think, helped us keep it in focus, and so that we could really move past those minor, disagreements or whatever the case may have been. So that would be my biggest thing. Like, communication is so key during the rain. It will save you every time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Emperor. Emperors 29 and 31, Morgan, James, and Emperor as it 22, 29, and 31. Hunter James cannot be here tonight. I would have loved to ask them that same question as a couple. I know that they've reigned together, and it certainly has put a strain in terms of how to manage things and manage time and manage life. I will say, my worry a little bit as I think about taking on this role, it's certainly a big time commitment. I'm absolutely willing to do that. I think it's the right time in my life, my career to do that. But I am a little bit worried about how COVID and coming out of COVID and those sort of things are going to affect actually our ability to truly engage and truly get that connection going back to the community. We're crossing fingers; it's going to be great, but we don't know yet. Correct? And so as you think about that, as sort of president of the organization, as you and the executive think about that, what do you think are going to be the biggest challenge for TICOT in the coming year? And how can the Emperor Empress as figureheads of the organization help sort of drive through that challenge?
I think it's absolutely going to be keeping people engaged. We're going to have to think outside of the box on how we're now engaging with the community, how we're engaging with our members. It's going to be a whole new ballgame when we come out of this, right? Like, things have changed. There's kind of no going backward. We can only move forward. And I think it's definitely just going to be community engagement, and how do we get TICOT back into the community and having people talking about TICOT as an organization because they see that we're there and we're present.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's when I was going through the interview process for candidate, I was asked the question, around what I would do and what this year would look like, and I think my answer at the time was, I think there is so much pent up desire to be out and be part of the community and connect and communicate and like be together again, that I think we've got this once the floodgates are going to be open, it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a roaring 20s kind of thing. A few more months until we get there, but certainly I think I'm cross fingers absolutely that I think it's going to be an amazing year for us, not just as an organization, but I think for the community as we go forward. Jason, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time tonight. Any parting words for either myself or the other candidate?
I will always part with this message until my last breath. Crown your heart, not your head, and it'll never lead you wrong.
Thank you for that, and amen to that. Absolutely agree. So thank you, Jason, for joining us. Our second guests I'm going to bring in now is ICP to the 32nd reign, or ICP 32. There she is, Billy Blake. So hi, Billy.
Owen.
Hello, thank you for being here. Interesting, we just spoke about you. So question for you before, I know you're going to do a performance for us, but I do have a question for you. Do you still have those pink
I
pink
tried
guys?
to find them. I actually do still have them. I'm pretty sure they're in my giant Tupperware memory box for the things that I hold the most sacred. It's in my closet. So things like the first TICOT poster I was ever on, the big pink dice that Jason gave me. I keep all of these things because they mean so much to me, and I can't wait to put something in that bin from you.
Wonderful. So thank you for that. I'm actually going to ask you a couple of questions now that we have this going, as opposed to jumping straight into a performance. So it's really interesting when you say how much TICOT means to you, and that you actually have a box where you put your memories in. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that in terms of what are your if you were to say, what's your top 3 memories? I know we only have 15 minutes, or 10 minutes or so to get through it all. But what are your top 3 memories, if you will, of your now up 5 years with TICOT as well?
Yeah, we started around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
One of my top memories was going in to what used to be George's Play. I can't remember. I think it was Church on Church at the time. And it was the first time I went to an open stage TICOT show. And I got on the stage, and the general reaction I got was along the lines of, "Where did this one come from?" And that made my heart sing. Getting the Emperor to Future Emperor award from the one and only Randy Emperor. And I can't pick them all because we all get together, we all have a laugh. I loved doing the brunch shows and Michelle DuBarry doing her "We Can Be Kind" song and singing it to me. And getting to know such great people, which, by the way, will be why I've chosen the song that I've chosen tonight.
Wonderful. So I, when you talk about brunches, you did, I don't know how many hundreds of brunches. And I'm not gonna donate $200 so you do the song. You know what song I'm talking about. We'll let you not die tonight.
Thank you. Not short, so
you're welcome. But yeah, I as treasurer, certainly, I spent the number of years that I did that, attending almost every single TICOT event. I think in over those 2 years, there might have been 4 or 5 events I didn't actually manage to attend. And what the thing that sort of struck me every time is, what a strongly knit group of friends it ultimately is. But also, the nuances of the organization, and Michelle's songs and how Michelle performs, and you get to sort of have a real special place in your heart for the people of the organization, and people like Michelle and others and yourself, etc. So keep on doing the amazing stuff that you do as we as an organization go forward.
It's home to me. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. So I know you get asked this question from time to time. I know you cannot really answer this, but are you ever going to consider running as Emperor?
Absolutely. I will be considering running for Emperor. The thing is that, like you, I'm not quite there yet. I've just recently come into a great position with my company, and I'm striving for further. But I want to make sure that when I make the decision to run, that I'm financially set to do so, and that I can give my absolute all to the organization at that current juncture. So, I mean, I've only been with the company professionally for 2 years. I want to add on to that before I go ahead and start, traveling around, taking time off, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to be Emperor one day because I want to make a difference.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm very encouraged to hear that. There was a time, I think, that the answer would have been, I'm not sure. So I'm glad that it's flipped a little bit. I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to travel the court system in the last couple of years. We were really, as I think I said at the beginning, we were really looking forward to actually traveling the court system and getting to know the court system, getting to know people through all the other courts. And then the pandemic went and slapped us at the side of the head, and we couldn't do that. But certainly, I'm hoping to do that as during the reigning here. Should I be the successful candidate there? So Billy, at this point, let's get. Are you ready for your performance? I'm certainly looking forward to it. So without further ado, let me introduce our wonderful, the one and only Billy Blake, everyone.
I'm gonna need you to raise your glass. I don't care what you put in it.
Here's the nights that you can't take back. We live hard, but we love to laugh. We all thought that we'd get rich fast. Hop the plane out for greener grass. Found out the green is cash. Don't compare to the friends at last. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. The city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. So here's to the cheap sunglasses, Red Bull and minivans, and people who had your back when the world didn't understand. See, we won't forget where we came from. The city won't change us. We beat to the same drum. No, we won't forget where we came from. The city can't change us. We beat to the same drum, the same drum. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. When time's losing and we're losing touch and fading away, we'll still be raising our cups to save campaign. Oh no, the city won't change us. 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 Won't change us. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. No matter where we go, we always find a way back home. We always find a way back home. Yeah, we always find a way back home.
Yay! Wonderful, as always. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Billy. Great
Very
performance.
happy to perform for you and the crowd that showed up on the street outside my window.
Well, you've got the park in front of your house, correct? So you probably have all the people staring at you. So thank you very much for that. It was a good song. I understand the meaning behind it. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. So Billy, I think thank you very much. I'll move on to our next guest. I appreciate you coming into the show. I appreciate you doing your performance. There are not too many men that perform, or of the male line that perform. You're one of the best ones we have. So thank you very much for gracing us with your presence tonight.
Whatever you need, brother.
Thank you very much. So have a good night. And I'm now going to sort of flip the script a little bit and go to our video that we received from Emperor 626 of the Imperial Court of Toronto, Ricky Lake, Ontario. He's got a little bit of advice for an emperor. Over to the video.
Hi, David. It's Emperor Ricky Lake, Ontario. I just want to say congratulations on your candidacy for Emperor 35 of the Imperial Court of Toronto. We appreciate you stepping forward and We look forward to hearing about all your plans that are coming in the new year. Just to let you know, a few little pointers. Number one, you may have not have heard of it before, but rain gain. Yeah, your weight's probably going to change, but who cares? You know what? Have fun with it. You're going to be busy. You may not eat as much as you thought, or you just kind of you don't work out as much, and you get busy. Anyways, just know that it happens to all of us, and it's 1 year that is exciting and wild, and you can always get back to your regular weight after your reign. The other is keep in mind the top of your head, because when you're actually hosting, that's what we're going to see when you're reading up at the podium. Just think of King Father, Emperor John Ribson at the Waterfall Empire. Oh my gosh, drinking beer and seeing his head. But you know what? He's a hoot. I love the guy. He's wonderful and great. And just beware. Get a tattoo, wear a hat. Lord James could probably help you out in that area. The other is, while you're reigning, we kind of expect you to wear as little clothing as possible. So it's one of those that the Empress looks stunning, and you, well, we kind of want to, see you, get to know you, that sort of thing. So if you probably look over here, or maybe over here, or up here, you could see a picture of me at the Tidy Whitey car wash. And yes, I'm actually next to a future emperor, Emperor Randy, the Randy Emperor, as well as JD, who is one of our volunteers. So, have fun with it. Just, that's what it's all about. Other things to keep in mind is performance. So again, you are not there to entertain. You will usually be performing after one of the drag queen entertainers who performs. If you'll notice that for the past 8 years, when Nikki Chin and I are both performing on stage together, she always puts me right after her. And there's a reason for that, because everyone needs to go to the bathroom, have a cigarette, socialize, and most importantly for the venue, need to refresh their drinks and get some food. So that is my job. When I am on stage, it is so everyone else can have a break so they don't miss any of the show, because we have some amazing performers in TICOT. Okay, so just know your place, know the reason why you're there, and Nikki and I have it all worked out. They love her, she gets the crowd going crazy, and then I allow them an opportunity to buy a drink and move on. Okay. The other thing is support other courts. So what ends up happening is not only is there the Imperial Court of Toronto, but as you travel around, you're attending coronations and other sorts of events, and they appreciate your help as well. So again, if you look over here, or maybe here, or here, there is a picture of me in bed with Emperor Robert George and some of the other monarchs from the Waterfall Empire. It was a hoot. Robert George was having an event that was a pajama party, and I actually became part of the advertisement. So I was thrilled to do it. And again, so please jump in bed with Emperor Robert George, or maybe one of the other events. Have fun with it. That's what it's all about. And finally, I just want to say WWBS. I want you to memorize that. WWBS. And what it means is, what would Becca say? She was your empress when you were Imperial Crown Prince. She will always be there for you. However, you must always be there for her. So it's one of those, when in doubt, what would Becca say? WWBS. Love you. Have fun with the campaign. And we're rooting for you. Woohoo! Take care.
Thank you very much to Emperor Ricky Lake Ricky Lake, Ontario, for those words. A couple of comments on the advice. Rain gain, if it's anything like COVID gain or pandemic gain, I've got that licked. I know exactly how to do it, so I'm good for that. Lord James, yes, those of you that are not part of TICOT, but look at our videos and look at the pictures. Lord James is the top hat guy. He always has the most amazing hats, and no, he's a valued member of the court, and we always look forward to seeing what hat he's going to come up with next. And they're getting bigger and taller and more elaborate every time we see him. So if ever I need a hat, Lord James will be the one I would certainly go to for one of those. In terms of wearing a little clothing, not me. I'm sorry. I'm a uniform guy, so I will be wearing uniforms. But I was looking at the picture you posted, Ricky, of yourself at the Tidy Whitey, and I noticed our Randy Emperor was wearing way too much clothes for what I know he usually does. So certainly, I think between yourself and the Randy Emperor, we've got that part of the requirement covered. Robert George, you mentioned, great friend. We've bumped into each other in the court system from the start, and certainly I look forward to continuing to see him and the rest of the Waterfall Empire, and really continue to jump in bed together as a larger community. Regardless of what the underlying nuance of that statement is. Jump in bed together to actually serve our community and charities and drive the court system itself forward. And then lastly, your comment around what would Becca say. I suppose it depends on what time of the night that would be. If it's at the beginning of the night before she's had her first couple of drinks, certainly would listen to her. If it's towards the end of the night, you need a special ear. It's not always that easy to make out what she has to say. And I love her for that. So yes, she will always be my empress, and absolutely, I look up to her, as well as the other emperors in which footsteps I would be following for their guidance and support and advice and those sort of things. So thank you very much for that, Ricky. The next video that I want to share comes to us from an emperor that I got to know through his performance at one of our coronations, the Pinocchio performance, the Pinocchio song. Loved the song, loved the individual, and really got to know him a lot better over the last year or two, certainly through his participation at the TICOT live streams during the pandemic, etc. So the next person I want to bring in is Emperor 22 Vu of the Imperial Sovereign Court of all Connecticut.
Hey everyone up in TICOT, it's Emperor 22 Vu of the Imperial Sovereign Court of all Connecticut, and I want to thank your candidate for Emperor, David Valois, for inviting me to be a part of this amazing show representing the male line. Now, regardless of what line you're on, my advice to you is the same. Don't let anyone's perceptions of your line dictate who you are and what you do. I know there are perceptions out there that the female line are the performers and the male line do all the grunt work, but I've seen so many female line members that aren't afraid to roll up their sleeves, and so many male line members that light up a stage, and so many non-binary members that can do both. So, as long as you stay true to who you are, there's nothing holding you back.
Follow where she goes. I think about her and she knows it. I wanna let it take control, 'cause every time that she gets close, she pulls me in enough to keep me guessing. And maybe I should stop and start confessing, I've been shaking. I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation, manipulate my decisions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. There's nothing holding me back. Holding me back. She says that she's never afraid. Just picture everybody naked. She really doesn't like to wait. Not really into hesitation. Pulls me in enough to keep me guessing. crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation, manipulate my decisions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. There's nothing holding me back. Cause if we lost our minds and we took it way too far, I know we'd be alright. I know we would be alright if you were by my side. And we stumbled in the dark, I know we'd be alright. I know we would be alright. Cause if we lost our minds and we took it way too far, I know we'd be alright. I know we would be alright if you were by my side. We stumbled in the dark, I know we'd be alright. We would be alright. Oh, I've been shaking, I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation, manipulate my decisions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. There's nothing holding me back. I feel so free when you're with me, baby. Baby, there's nothing holding me back.
Wonderful, thank you for that. And let's quickly take a message from Emperor 32, the Randy Emperor, and afterwards we'll kick over to the Empress portion, the Empress candidate portion of tonight's events.
Hi, I'm Emperor 32 of the Imperial Court of Toronto, the Randy Emperor. I'd like to wish Rochelle and David Valois all the best in their campaigns for Empress and Emperor 35 of the Imperial Court of Toronto. For those that live in the Toronto realm, get out there and vote for them.
One of the emperors that we certainly look up to as one of the most engaged emperors, certainly in the couple of years that I've been part of the court. And I mean that, I'll talk about that from the Emperor's blog perspective. If you ever go to our website and you read the Emperor's blog, Randy wrote a very, very prolific blog, very detailed blog, and it was amazing to see the number of events and how he engaged in the community and with the other courts, and certainly something that I aspire to, should I be the successful candidate, and big shoes to fill, should I be the successful candidate. So at this point, I want to hand over to the Empress candidate and let her run her portion of the evening's events. And we'll come back with a couple of messages again at the end of the session. So at this point, without any further ado, let me hand over to Rochelle Wolowa, candidate for Empress 30 of TICOT.
Well, hello, everyone. I finally get to speak. Oh my God, I've been kept back here in the corner managing everything. First off, I'd like to do some quick housekeeping while the Emperor candidate is online. Unfortunately, due to a technical difficulty, we were unable to I can see the Facebook messages on my phone, but I wasn't able to share them on the screen. So I just want to do a quick run through and make sure there are no questions for David or I during that. So we have Randy Ray Bears, it says hello from everyone, Katana from the Waterfall, Shannon from the Waterfall, Tracy Waller, Sheila LA, Sam Lambert, Jamie Nestor is watching, and Ricky Lake Ontario is watching. So if you are watching and you do want to say messages, I can see them now and I'll be able to answer them for you. My apologies for the technical glitch. I don't know why we can't do that. So I'm going to say goodbye to the other candidate, and I'm going to take over this show for a hot minute. And I said that because it's his favorite phrase that I say. He hates that. So yeah, Over to me.
Okay.
All righty. So I'm pretty sure you all came here to see some live performances, not everything pre-recorded. So I'm going to give you what you all came here for. I'm going to give you a little number. Let me see which one I'll do for you. Why, this one.
I tried to give all myself to you, but before I can get there, got parts of me I'm trying to lose. Yeah, I got my own imperfections. I got my own set of scars to hide. I got my own imperfections. I can't hold your heart when I'm fixing mine. So give it up, I ain't gonna save you. Give it up now. Give it up, I ain't gonna save you. Give it up now. 'Cause I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. Yeah, I got my own. I got my own. Hold on. I'm trying to put you on the shelf. But before I could love you, I need to learn to love myself. 'Cause I got my own imperfections. I got my own set of scars to hide. I got my own imperfections. I can't hold your heart when I'm fixing mine. So give it up, I ain't gonna save you. Give it up now. Give it up, I ain't gonna save you. Give it up now. 'Cause I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. Yeah, I got my own. I got my own. You're part of me, and you are too. And I don't really wanna choose. Can you love them the way that I love you? They make me who I am today, and they won't ever go away. Can you love them the way that I love you? 'Cause I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. I got my own imperfections. Yeah, I got my own. I got my own. Before I can love you, I need to learn to love myself. Before I can trust you, I need to learn to trust myself.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that number. So let's do some other housekeeping. So voting, you heard earlier that we wanted to, if you're in the realm, some of you may not know what the realm is for the Imperial Court of Toronto. So the purple region on the map, which is basically downtown Toronto, the core of Toronto, is the Imperial City. And the rest of the yellow area is everyone that was in our realm. So if you live with any one of these regions within the yellow part of the map, you are more than welcome to come down to the Second Cup Saturday, September the 18th between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. come out and vote. We would love to. I would love for your support and would love to represent this organization and what we stand for. So people might ask, what do I stand for? What is my platform? Like others, I started off when I first joined the court, I wasn't a drag queen. I didn't start off with the skills of drag queen. The first event I actually showed up to, I showed up as a boy. I think someone asked me, "Oh, when are you going to come out and drag?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it that much. It may come out like once a year." And I said, "Oh," and then I started coming out, and they go, "Well, when are you going to start performing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm never performing. That is not my thing." And here we are, almost 5 years later, and I am back. So let's just, while I'm on the topic of my history, or herstory, as some of us would say it, let me just pull up a little photo montage I thought I would share with you, which starts off with the first ever face I painted for myself. So if you want to zoom right into that monstrosity, that was before I knew that between layers of cream makeup, you had to powder it and set it in place. So by 15 minutes into this event, my entire face slid off. And I was quite embarrassed, but it was my first time. So then I started getting a little better, still not pretty, still looked like a man who smacked his face into some makeup. And the wig, not style, just right on the bag, right on the head. Then I had a little issues with white powder and highlighting. Couldn't quite figure out where it should go on the face, as you can see from this look. Then this is the first coronation that I attended. This outfit caused a little bit of controversy. I wasn't aware that there was a clothing requirement at coronations. So you can't see it in this photo, but when I turned around, the bustle on that outfit was actually a bird cage, and there was a little bird floating in the cage, and there was also my butt exposed. So some of you got a great view, and some of you just saw a little birdie. This is the first out-of-town coronation I attended, and this is at the Waterfall Empire. Slightly getting better with the makeup, and this is when I really found my fascination for fascinators. And these feathers were tickling everyone's noses, and I think that's where the whole Tickle Me Valois nickname came from. This is my first performance at a non-coronation at Waterfall Empire. I was so honored that I was allowed to perform on the stage. I gave it my all, and I had an amazing time at that event. The Waterfall Empire does hold a special place in my heart because of, they were the first coronation. They made me feel very welcome. They always made me feel pretty, even though my makeup was busted. So the Waterfall Empire always will have a special place in my heart. Just checking if anyone is online. Let's just go to the next photo. So here's what so this is before I learned how to wear dresses properly. So apparently the straps you're seeing are not shoulder straps, but they are the hanging straps. But I've since modified that gown to make it more beautiful. And I also want to show off in the top left-hand corner are my stunning nails. I love having my nails done. I was lucky enough to find this amazing artist who lives just north of Toronto in, I think, around Peterborough area. Her brand is Exhale Hate. And she's a wonderful nail designer. I've given her a wide variety of challenges, and she's always delivered, and I'm always 100% happy. So support local, look her up on Instagram and the internet, and support this lovely woman. Alrighty, this is my pride look from the live streams. As you can see, I'm starting to get a little better on my makeup. So I did a full rainbow eye, and once again, another fascinator. And this was probably one of my most iconic looks that I love the most. So I redid my first coronation look, but with makeup skills. And so I was over the moon with how well this turned out and love that look, and can't wait to recreate it in an even higher elevated moment at some time. And this is the last coronation I attended, which is the waterfall iron for this year. And as you can see, that face is gorgeous. She's beat for the gods, she's pretty, and I was feeling my oats and felt amazing at that coronation. And I was also, once again, thanks to the water film for another first, my first command at a coronation. And I felt gorgeous and special. And that's why the waterfall is special to me. Alrighty. So I'm just going to check. I'm just going to pull on some messages. But before they do that, I'm going to bring up the other candidate, because I think for the rest of the show, because we did get so many video submissions, both myself and the other candidate, and just to make this night flow a little smoother and make it much easier for me to navigate, because not only am I on the show, but I'm also producing in the background. So just make that part run a little smoother. I'm going to bring him on so he can help with the chatter while I'm figuring out this staging in the background. So without further ado, the candidate for Emperor 35, David Valois.
Hi.
Hi.
A surprise. I thought you're gonna bring me back at the end, but I'm here. So absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to quickly check because I think possibly the Facebook portion of our thing is down. And if so, I'm just going to do a quick stop and restart.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it on the page, so I'm just going to do a quick stop and restart. Okay?
Okay.